China doesn't censor skeletons. The truth about game censorship in the Middle Kingdom. Huh. Is that true? Wait a minute. We need to read this. Because I have a bunch of skeletons in my game. Oh, wow. I start with crawling skeletons that are not done yet. And I can add more rounds so we can see the rest of them. It's like an army of skeletons. Essentially. Holy. And so I'm a little bit worried that I will get... Oh, wow. And so... Wow. Can you... Okay, guys, wait a minute. Let's see. Since I have skeletons in my game, I hope that maybe we don't have to censor them, right? China is one of the most misunderstood nations on Earth when it comes to censorship. So I don't know how credible this Tech in Asia website is. Hopefully it is very credible. I can't really know. I don't know the person. Yes, its government is very trigger happy when it comes to censorship, but that doesn't mean that a lot of the common myths about Chinese censorship are correct. And when it comes to video games, there's one we'd especially like to debunk. The illegal skeleton theory. Okay, China declares Battlefield 4 illegal. Aha, so this is the reference one here. I really like Battlefield, but apparently China's Ministry of Culture disagrees. The ministry announced that on Friday that the game is illegal, containing content that harms China's national security interests, constituting a sort of cultural invasion. Websites and companies offering downloads, patches, strategy guides, and anything else related to the game have been given 24 hours to remove the Battlefield content. This ban isn't a huge surprise given the role that China plays in both the game's single and multiplayer modes. In single player, you fight against Chinese military, as controlled by a rogue general following the assassination of a liberal political leader. So these guys, obviously, that makes sense, right? They are very politically charged there. In multiplayer, you can run around blowing up buildings and battling other players in a variety of very authentic looking Chinese locations, including Shanghai. Ooh. In fact, this is the issue that I addressed in my review of the game back in October. Although I'm not Chinese, I would say that I suspect playing this game could feel a bit weird for some Chinese gamers, yeah. It does not portray China or its people as evil, doesn't come off as well. Although Admiral Zhang doesn't come off as well. But the fact that you still spend most of the time shooting people who are screaming at you in Mandarin. Aha. Russian gamers are quite familiar with this feeling, of course, but it may be relatively new to some Chinese gamers to shoot an enemy who is wearing your country's flag on his shoulder. Yep. So this isn't a surprise then that, this isn't a surprise then. But as some Chinese gamers have pointed out, it's little ridiculous when given how often American games denigrate and destroy their own landmarks and icons without incurring bans in the US. Think about how many games have featured corrupt presidents, attacks of the White House, aliens destroying the Statue of Liberty, etc. I think in America, these people just don't really... Either they are desensitized or they don't care. One of the two. So are your skeletons Chinese? That's the question now. Yeah, so what I get from this is... Are my skeletons Chinese? Does this look Chinese to you guys? Don't take a look at this, okay? It's totally not taken from Kingdom Rush. Does this look Chinese to you? 100%? What about this skeleton right here? What about these? Is this a Chinese eye patch? Or is that a USA eye patch? Also, yes. I think if I did... Now it might, right? I think we get the Scottish. Yeah, maybe Scottish. Yeah. I mean, there's still like we need to this yellow thing in here, right, for the Chinese mark or something. I think I would get in trouble with this, right? Okay, good to know. Don't do that, guys. Okay, do not put this on your skeletons. Interesting. Okay, let's see. That's awesome to hear, man, because I want to use skeletons in my game. It's all about skeletons. And then zombies and slimes and we'll see dragons in the future, you know, when I have some monies and can pay some people to do art, you know, stuff like that. If you talk about games in China, you'll often hear people expose this theory. Skeletons, blood and other things have been censored in games like World of Warcraft and Dota 2 for cultural reasons, or because the government doesn't want to encourage superstition. But while it's true, skeletons and blood are censored in WoW, Dota and a bunch of other foreign games, the blanket ban people talk about doesn't exist. For example, here are a couple of screenshots from 2 Chinese developed games. Oh, the first one is from a game called whatever that is, developed by NetEase. The second one is from a game called Age of Wushu, developed by Suzu based Snail Games. Huh. Interesting. Well, there are a bunch of skeletons. Yes, there are. There are a bunch of skeletons in here too. Okay, so skeletons and the like obviously aren't straight up banned in Chinese video games, and in truth they are not uncommon in Chinese culture either. Chinese literature is full of the supernatural, from the ghost stories of Zibu Yu in the Qing period. Is it a king? I'm sorry, I'm not Chinese. To the Beiju King. No, Beigujing. To the Beiju King skeleton spirit in the Ming Dynasty novel Journey to the West. But if skeletons are allowed in games and President Chinese culture, what does that does beg the question: why are they censored in games like World of Warcraft and Dota? Yeah, why are they? Just for your information, 2% of my sales were in China. So Mr. Real Super Cool, we're talking about, you know, the Chinese market. Mr. Real Super Cool has a game called Pogostuck. For those of you who haven't tried it out yet, you should. It's a good game. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard about it from Ludwig as well, big player of the game. And he says that 2% of his sales come from this, from China, essentially, for his game. Which isn't all too much. Some big Chinese streamers played it for 30 to 50 hours even. Interesting. I thought China was mostly phone gamers. Well, we'll have to see, right? We have seen the sales figures from other Steam developed games, and China was a big market. US is 39%. Yeah, US is always the biggest market, it seems like. No big deal, you can just replace skeletons with Chinese warriors or something. The answer can be a little bit difficult to pin down. What laws are on the books? It's impossible to know what pressure the Chinese government might be exerting on game companies behind the scenes, but in terms of public censorship regulations for games, the relevant regulations are here. Specifically, the Ministry of Culture forbids gaming-related content for game features. Gambling-related content, sorry. Anything that violates China's constitution, anything that threatens China's national unity, sovereignty, or territorial integrity, anything that harms the nation's reputation, security, or interests, anything that instigates racial, ethnic hatred, or harms ethnic traditions and cultures, anything that violates China's policy on religion by promoting cults or superstitions, anything that promotes or incites obesity in obscenity. Obesity would be so funny. Drug use, violence, or gambling. No fat guys here. Oh man. Anything that harms public ethnics or China's culture and traditions. Anything that insults, slanders, or violates the rights of others. Other content that violates the law. Aha, interesting. It's a somewhat broad list. At the end of the day, it comes down to interpretation. Could a skeleton in a game be interpreted as promoting superstition? For example, possibly. Likely, it would depend on who and when you ask. And that leads to game companies censoring themselves. Aha! Let's take a look at this. Oh yeah, I mean, I wanted to read that, but I guess we skip on this, huh? I can't read this. All right. So this was, by the way, this was the regulations, by the way. Which, yeah. Game companies censoring themselves. Since the rules are broad and open to interpretation, game publishers, Sweet Baby Inc., will often choose to err on the side of caution and cut out, edit anything that might be perceived as objectionable before the Ministry of Culture's review process. That gives the game a better chance of getting approved, which means it can be released in China. So what we're gonna do, guys, what we are going to do is we're not going to change the game at all. We're going to apply for this. I'm pretty sure I have to do that too. And then Steam, I think Steam will tell you whether your game can be published to China or not. That's what we're gonna do. See, original Dota 2 icons versus censored Chinese versions. Chinese. The pressure for quick approval is especially heavy on Chinese publishers wanting to operate foreign games, because those games have already been released abroad. For every day the game doesn't come to China, more Chinese gamers will sneak and hack their way onto overseas servers, delaying the Chinese publisher its share of the profits. Yeah, it wouldn't be a surprise then if game developers were censored their games pretty heavily before submitting them to the Ministry of Culture to make sure that they don't face rejection and the subsequent further delays as they are forced to fix the game and reapply. That's very interesting. Yeah, it's about the money. I could see that. Indeed, this seems to be exactly what happened in the case of World of Warcraft, when the game was first censored back when it was being published in China by the 9. I guess the 9 is one of those. Some papers reported that the changes were made to make the game more healthy and harmonious. And there was speculation that the government was to blame, but the V9's PR director Zhao Yuren told China Net that actually V9 had chosen to flesh out World of Warcraft skeletons voluntarily because before ever submitting the game to the Ministry of Culture for review. Their hope was that the changes would help the game sail more smoothly through the appeal process. Aha. We hope the expansion pack will surely get the approval in acknowledgement of the self-discipline from our company. Damn. Doom, Scorched Earth and Level a dev, yeah. No, you just publish a game and it gets banned in China. They will send you a letter if you're banned and can't travel to China. You will get shot at the airport and you have to pay 50,000 yen or they will send you ninja assassins. Okay, bro. Goodness. I checked for my game too. I don't see sales numbers cause publisher, but in my analytics, I got 1.45% Chinese. We do have skeletons in our game. Huh. Interesting. So you do have skeletons there. Well, I do have a lot of skeletons, but interesting. Does foreignness matter? One easy observation to make is that the flashy skeleton phenomenon and the other similar examples of censorship seem to afflict foreign games more often than they do Chinese ones. It could be simply that, as mentioned above, the companies publishing foreign games are more likely to censor games. I think that's what's happening, actually. Seeing how big of an impact DEI has in games currently and how many games actually changed because of that, I see that happening for China too, to increase sales, to try to increase sales and get more money. It could be simply that, as mentioned above, companies publishing foreign games are more likely to censor games with a heavy hand because they want their games to get approved quickly so they can keep pace with the game's other servers overseas. But it could also be that China's government has another stricter set of censorship standards that apply only to foreign games. I'm not aware of any evidence such a regulation exists, but China has been known to use internet censorship and dragged out review processes as a tool to make similar domestic games and services more competitive. Okay. TLDR. So while there's no way to be totally sure what's going on behind the scenes, you can draw some basic conclusions. Skeletons are not censored at all in Chinese games or considered taboo in Chinese culture. There is no public law that bans skeletons, blood, or anything like that in video games, but China's law about game censorship are broad. Laws about game censorship are broad, yeah. Oh, thank you very much for the raid, Dev Spudgers. Welcome, guys. We're currently reading about skeletons in China, but China's laws about game censorship are broad and could be interpreted in a variety of ways. The censorship of skeletons in foreign games like World of Warcraft and Dota 2 was probably voluntarily on the part of the game's Chinese publishers, who are being extra careful to avoid any potential delays in the review process. So that's essentially, let's make it fast so we can earn money. Yeah. In other words, next time you see a flashy skeleton lambert towards you in WoW, don't blame Chinese culture and don't even blame the Chinese government. Instead, blame the game's Chinese publishers. Yes. Who put flesh back on the bones in hopes to get the game released more quickly in China. Cool. Very good stuff. Very interesting article. I like that. I have a lot of skeletons in the game. There will be a lot of zombies. I wonder if... Guys, what about Dark Souls in China? Is Dark Souls censored in China? Why did China ban Dark Souls? Religious overtones. Wait, is it actually banned? Minecraft has skeleton? Yeah, Minecraft has a skeleton, yeah. Is Dark Souls actually banned? What game is banned in China? Animal Crossing? Animal Crossing? Yeah, we'll have to see if my game is banned or not. Hopefully not. And hopefully we can just release it, you know? Steam will do that for us. And if we get sales from China, then I would assume that the game is not banned in China.